What is going on, everybody? I hope you're having a great day, whoever you are, wherever you are. And today, we're going to be talking about a knife that I am very excited to add to my collection. A knife that is both beautiful and functional. Designed by a fellow YouTuber. Let's get into it. Alright, here we have the Wingspan by Breed EDC. Designed by Mark Perez, aka Loot 10 Techs on YouTube. This is a knife that when I first saw it, I was like absolutely in awe by it and knew that I wouldn't be able to get it on the first drop, and luckily the chance came for me to pick one up in the secondary. Huge shout out to Fred the Lug. Appreciate you, Fred. This knife is absolutely gorgeous. We're looking at black titanium and silver twill. This is an S35 VN blade with a nice belt satin finish. It is a flat grind. However, the really cool thing about this is you can get one that is a flat grind or a hollow grind. So that's super cool that they offer either option. And there is a couple different colors, I do believe, to choose from. This is the one that I thought was the most beautiful. I really like some details about this knife. I think they are done very well. And then there's only really one negative thing I would have to say about this knife. And so let's just get right into it. I think there's a few features about this knife that I absolutely love, right? So before we get into that, let's just get into the overall. We're looking at a 7.84 pocket knife overall, 7.84 inches, with the blade length of 3.51 inches, but a cutting length of 3.16 inches. You lose a little bit of the choil, which I like a nice forward choil on a blade, so I think that is a positive feature personally. But that's like different strokes for different folks, right? So it depends on who you ask. We're looking at this very cool modified sheep's foot blade, which is dubbed the sheep's muck, which is a combination of a sheep's foot blade and a Nesmuk blade. Very cool. Titanium back spacer on there. Titanium pocket clip. Now, the details I think that are absolutely knocked out of the park about this knife are a few things. Now, if you're like a knife collector or a knife nerd, I think you definitely appreciate it. The access to the liner, it's done so well, perfectly. Subtle, but enough to where you don't miss it. The jimping is done perfectly. Usually they say, you want more jimping, but I think this is absolutely perfect. Even if you choke up on the knife, you still have a lot of jimping up there. That's two details I think that are knocked out of the park. The third being the finger choil. I really like that. It's well done. So you can get a really solid forefinger grip back here. And then if you choke up right there and still have a forefinger grip, you can get a good pinch grip on there. Something like that, good draw cut, whatever. Nice and safe on there. And then another detail about it that I think is done very well, all the hardware is T8, which is absolutely awesome. That's one thing in the knife community we've all heard a lot of, and we've all said a lot of, is like, oh, make it all the same size, make it all the same size. So shout out to Loot 10 Techs and Breed EDC for doing just that. I'm a really big fan of this knife. This is not going to be a safe queen for me. This is one that is going to be used and carried frequently. I love the way this looks. I love the way the titanium meets that like carbon fiber silver twill, looks so well done. Nice prominent liner lock in there that you can get access to very easily. That nice satin, belt satin finish on that S35 EM blade. Just absolutely beautiful. So the one negative thing that I was saying is it is only a right-handed tip-down carry. So if you're a lefty, you might not be a huge fan of this knife. But having said that, my wife is a left-handed individual, and she says that she's gotten so used to using right-handed things that using something designed left-handed almost feels foreign to her at this point. So if that's how you feel and you're a left-hand, then you might actually like this. But it is something to think about if you are looking to grab one. Like I said, huge shout out to Fred the Lug for giving me a chance to pick this up off him in the secondary. Great for reverse flicking. The older I get, the more I love a good reverse flick manual folder. And this really hits all the notches for me about the fine details, things I like about knives. Love the blade shape. For me, it's it looks super functional. I haven't got to carry it yet or use it yet. This is obviously just my first impressions getting it, checking it out, and messing with it. I think that this is both an absolute beautiful pocket knife and still is going to be an absolute great user because it just has such a great carry profile. Slim, light. It is 3.2 ounces, so not too heavy, not too light. A good solid feel to it. Great four-finger grip, like I said, and even when you choke up, you still are safe with that choil. You got a little more room, and you're still got jimping up there. So a lot of the fine details about this knife, like I said, were just absolutely knocked out of the park. So huge shout out to Lou 10 Tex and New Breed EDC for killing this. This is an absolute gorgeous blade, and I cannot wait to just keep carrying this and keep using this because I absolutely love it. It was love at first sight. So the pocket clip is great, titanium pocket clip. Before I sat down and recorded the video, I actually put it in my pocket and pulled it out like 10, 15 times. So it does feel like a little tight, but it's a titanium pocket clip. I prefer titanium pocket clip because another reason is they don't snag as much, whereas a stamped pocket clip technically a lot of times has that bend on that ramp that goes upwards a little bit that causes more snags. And let me show you exactly what I mean by that. And this is just really like nerd stuff at this point, but you see on this pocket clip right here, now this is a good one. This isn't one that gets snagged too often, but that ramp right there causes snags if you're like getting out of your car or somewhere where there's a snag area. Now, a pocket clip like this does not really snag or get caught like that. Yes, it can as well, you know, depending where you're at, what you're doing, what's going on, but way less chance of this getting snagged on something versus the stamped pocket clip like that. So again, an absolutely beautiful design by Loot 10 Tex. I'm a really big fan of this knife. This is one I've been wanting to check out for a long time. I am super happy to get my hands on it. Has that super smooth bearing action. The OEM on this was Kubi, which I'm a big fan of them as well, so makes sense why that action is so great. All the little details, like I said, are just nailed out of the park. And talk about being functional and beautiful. This is an absolute perfect balance of both those things, in my opinion. And I know not everybody likes the sheep's foot, the sheep's muck blade style, but I'm a big fan of it. I find it to be an extremely utilitarian blade shape that's really good for getting into like packages and breaking down boxes and doing like fine cuts as well. A big fan of this one. This is going to be fun to carry for sure. 4.39 inch handle, so there it is closed, and great jimping on that front flipper, right? So when you go to front flip it, you really don't slide off of it, as I failed to do it. There we go. And if you're not used to front flipping, it can take some getting used to for sure. But a knife like this is awesome for that because of all that jimping. You have a way less likely chance of missing it, right? So super fidgety with the front flip and the reverse flick. I'm a big fan. So while we got it out, I figured maybe we can do a little size comparison. And again, huge shout out to Loot 10 Techs for starting New Breed EDC. He's killing it over there. We got the Wingspan right here. We'll put it next to the Bug Out for a little size comparison. Pretty close. And then I got the Devo Growler XL just to kind of put a little perspective shot, you know. And if you know the Devo Growler, it's absolute monster of a knife. So, and again, the Wingspan is a 7.84 inch overall knife with that blade length of 3.51 inches. However, you got a cutting surface of 3.16 inches because you lose a little bit with that choil. However, I like a forward choil, so it works for me. Yeah, and if you're looking to pick one of these bad boys up, you can grab one off newbreededc.com for around $150. There's different variations, different models. You can get a different color. You can get a hollow ground or a flat ground. This is the flat ground satin version. So different things to consider if you do like the design and like the look of that knife and would be interested in checking one out. And then we'll put it next to the QSB Penguin, one of the all-time GOAT budget knives. So you can see it's bigger than the Penguin, almost the same size as the Bug Out. A little bit bigger. And the much nicer finger choil and choke up spot. This Bug Out has been dominating my pocket lately. So I think this one is going to get some time in the pocket. And we'll catch up with it, and then we'll do a little review after she gets some good pocket time, you know what I mean? But I'm very, very excited to check this out. Very, very excited. Like I said, huge shout out to Fred the Lug. Yeah. The Wingspan by New Breed EDC. Designed by Mark Perez and aka Loot 10 Techs on YouTube. So go check him out on YouTube, IG, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, guys, as always, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.